My name is Taryn Marston, and tomorrow my company, Claus Pilot, goes public. At 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, I'm in a hallway of a hotel in Chicago, staring at the brass doorknob of a VIP suite, because behind it my father, Von Marston, is laughing like nothing can touch him. I should knock, announce myself, pretend I don't hear what I hear. But the door doesn't seal, and my family never learned to whisper. Von's voice slips through the gap. Keep it simple. She reads headlines, not contracts. Portia Marston, my sister, answers. Call it helping the family, and she'll fold like she always does. Von adds, she'll sign anything if I call her sweetheart and promise she's finally included. And disturbed. Then Graham Lockridge, my ex, a historic property broker, says, Juniper House appraises at $900,000. Quick close. Clean paperwork. I take 8% and you get cash before anyone smells the fire. Von says, good. I need $22 million buried before her IPO hits the news. Portia laughs. Sharp. She'll never connect the dots. She's too busy playing consultant in her little contract world. Von replies, give her a pen, give her a story, and she'll sign herself out of the house. Graham murmurs. And if she hesitates, Portia snaps. Then we remind her she's nothing without us, and she'll crawl back for approval. My hand leaves the knob, not shaking, just choosing. I square my shoulders, breathe once, and smile at the door like it's already in breach, because I'm about to walk in as bait and let them put their contempt on the record. I walk into the VIP suite and close the door, and the laughter inside snaps into a quieter, meaner shape. Von Marston doesn't bother standing. He just lifts his scotch and says, there's my daughter, right on time to disappoint, while Portia Marston looks up from her phone and adds, smile. Taryn. This is the part where you pretend you're grateful. Graham Lockridge leans against the bar with that broker's calm and murmurs, relax. We're here to help, as if help ever showed up with a commission attached. I keep my posture small on purpose and let my voice stay neutral. You said it was urgent, I tell Von, and he points at the chair across from him and replies, sit and listen, like I'm still 16, then tosses in. This is your last chance to be useful. Portia tilts her head and says, Juniper House is a burden you can't carry, and you know it. Then flicks her gaze over me and adds, you can't even carry yourself without hiding behind that contract hobby. Graham's smile sharpens. Quick close, he says. Clean paperwork. No mess. I let silence hang just long enough to make them fill it. Then I ask the questions they don't expect from the girl they call clueless. Who's holding escrow? And where does the notary sit? Von's eyes narrow. And Portia laughs. Look at her. Playing executive. Before she snaps. Stop interrogating Dad like you have power. Graham answers anyway. Too pleased with his own importance. Neutral office downtown. Standard notary. Signatures today. And Von adds, because the deadline is tomorrow, and you're not making us miss it. I look at Graham and say, you told me I wasn't wife material. And he shrugs like, my dignity is a rounding error, and replies, still true. So I nod and answer, good, then treat me like signature material. Von's jaw tightens and he warns, don't play word games with me. But I meet his stare and reply, I don't play with words. I invoice them. Portia steps closer, voice dropping to a hiss. Sign. Or I flood donor lists and gossip feeds with a story about how unstable you are the night before your IPO. And Von smiles and adds, I'll confirm it. And I'll have cousins repeat it. I swallow. Let them see what they want to see. And say, show me the papers. The city outside is still lit when I slide into the back seat of the car, and Damon Cross glances at me in the mirror without asking questions. I tell him, Pull every audit trail from Marston Hospitality wire transfers, private accounts, anything tagged discretionary. And he nods once. Already typing. Kira Solis answers my call before the first ring, her voice steady from too many late nights inside IPO operations. I say, I need the full friends and family framework by morning. And she replies, that's the participation packet, the only legal bridge between personal relations and corporate allocation. I stare out the window as Chicago blurs past, the city indifferent to bloodlines or betrayal. Kira keeps talking. They sign that. They forfeit rights if they breach disclosure or defamation clauses. It's standard legal armor. I smile at the word armor and say, then we weaponize it. Same paperwork. But add a mutual release clause and an assignment of benefits. Make the family celebration their own noose. Damon mutters, you're turning a gift into a trap. And I answer, no. I'm turning theft into confession. The dashboard glows with new messages. One from Portia already pulsing through the encrypted channel, her voice all sugar and venom. You better show up tomorrow. Taryn. The press loves a redemption arc. I forward it to Kira and say, she wants optics. Let's give her a ceremony. Kira's fingers tap fast. I hear the printer hum on her end. You'll have your packet by sunrise, she says. But they'll have to believe it's their ticket to your IPO windfall. I tell her, they already believe it. They think I'm still begging for approval. Damon looks back once more and asks, and if they read the fine print? I meet his eyes in the mirror and answer, they won't. They never read anything from me that isn't an apology. He exhales like a man who's seen enough wars to recognize another one and says, then I'll prep the evidence chain. I rest my head against the seat. The hum of the engine steady under my heartbeat. Good, I tell him. By this time tomorrow, every signature will tell the truth. They've spent years hiding. Morning sunlight hits the cracked shutters of Juniper House when I pull into the gravel drive and see 2 SUVs already parked out front. A man in a polo with a clipboard calls out, property survey. Ma'am. As if I were a stranger trespassing on my own inheritance. I step onto the porch and say, turn those cameras off. But he shakes his head. We have written authorization from Von Marston. Behind him, Graham Lockridge appears. Crisp suit, phone in hand, pretending this is business, not betrayal. He smirks when he sees me. Taryn, this isn't personal. Your father needs liquidity. The market's soft best take the offer before the house becomes a liability. I walk down the steps until we're eye to eye and answer. The only liability here is your conscience. He laughs, adjusting his cufflinks. You always had a flair for dramatics. Try to be reasonable. I say, reasonable is not selling the one place that ever felt safe. He shrugs. Sentiment doesn't pay property tax. As he scrolls, his phone lights up with a preview of a text, Portia's name, and a message that starts with Times, miss you, already asterisk. My breath stills, but my face doesn't. I look at him and say softly, tell my sister I'll see her at the gala. Then take a photo of his screen as naturally as checking the time. He stiffens, realizes too late, and mutters, you wouldn't. I smile. You forget what I do for a living. Before he can answer, Portia's face fills the screen through a video call, her tone dripping with control. Am at the house again. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I reply, I'm just reminding the contractors who actually holds the key. She exhales, frustrated. 3:30 sharp tomorrow. No scenes. I end the call before she finishes and tell Graham, tell your photographer to pack up. If anyone's taking the shot tomorrow, it'll be me. The charity gala hums with champagne and false warmth when I step into the private lounge behind the ballroom. The room smells of cedar, polish, and money, my father's preferred terrain for betrayal. Von Marston sits behind a polished table like a judge about to deliver sentencing. Portia Marston at his right. Graham Lockridge near the minibar pretending to be a neutral broker. And a notary with neat glasses arranging papers in perfect alignment. Vaughn waves me in. We're saving you from yourself. Taryn. Sign this. Close the chapter. Let us handle the debt. I glance at the document title. Asterisk, Juniper Transfer Settlement. Asterisk. My tone stays soft. This is the part where you tell me it's for my own good. Portia smiles like a surgeon before the incision. You'll thank us later, she says. You can focus on your little app without worrying about property upkeep or taxes. Graham adds. We even arranged a goodwill payment $50,000, so you can feel compensated. I trace the edge of the paper, then say, compensated or silenced. Portia snorts. You're not that important to silence. I look toward the door where Kira Solis waits outside, holding the sealed folder marked Times Family Participation Packet. Asterisk, I say. Before I sign anything, I want you all to sign this, just a simple acknowledgement of support for tomorrow's IPO celebration. A family statement of unity. Vaughn's eyes narrow. You're not dictating terms here. I meet his stare. If you want me to sign, you'll give the press their family moment. One photo. One packet. Optics. Right. Portia's ego does the rest. Fine, she says. If it makes you feel included. The notary hesitates. Sensing tension. Vaughn growls. Proceed. Portia signs first. Her signature big and performative, then pushes the pen toward Vaughn. He signs without reading. Impatient. Graham shrugs and adds his name. Their signatures slide across the page like traps snapping shut. Vaughn pushes the Juniper deed toward me. Now you. I lift the pen, study the ink for a heartbeat, and ask. Tell me again what this covers. Vaughn exhales hard. Transfer of title. Release of liability. Settlement of family obligations. Stop stalling. I nod. So when I sign, everything's clean. He smirks. Exactly. I scribble my name. Quick and shaky. Like someone grateful to be rescued. The notary stamps it twice, one for their file. One for mine. Done. Vaughn says, pocketing his copy. Portia straightens. Pleased. You finally made an adult decision. I hand the duplicate packet to Kira at the door, who slips it into her briefcase. You wanted optics. I say. Tomorrow, the whole world will see what family unity looks like. Vaughn checks his Rolex. We'll announce the transfer at the close. Try not to embarrass us. Portia pats my shoulder with condescension disguised as affection. 4 o'clock sharp. Don't be late. When they leave, I exhale slowly, watching their signatures dry on the page. The ink glints under the chandelier like fresh blood. They think the trap closed around me. They don't realize they've just signed the only document in this room that actually matters. The ballroom smells of champagne and ambition when the final bell of the IPO rings through every phone in the room. Portia Marston's live stream catches the exact moment the ticker for Clause Pilot closes, at 4 times its opening value. And a ripple of astonishment spreads across the crowd. Vaughn Marston strides to the microphone, voice booming. A proud day for this family. Proof that discipline and guidance can shape success. His smile is wide enough to hide the rot underneath. I step onto the small stage beside him, calm and deliberate, my heels striking the marble like a gavel. Guidance, I echo, keeping my tone polite. That's generous. Especially from people who needed my signature to stay solvent. The laughter in the room dims. Vaughn frowns. Still trying to perform. This isn't the time for bitterness. Taryn, he says, reaching for the mic, but I don't hand it over. You're right, I answer. It's time for disclosure. I pull a folder from my jacket and hold it up for the cameras. The family participation packet signed. Notarized. Witnessed. Page 7. Paragraph 3. Mutual release of claims and assignment of benefits. Portia's expression cracks first. What did you just say? She whispers, stepping closer. That you waived every right to family benefits. I reply. Including future financial participation in Clause Pilot or its affiliates. Congratulations, you've just disqualified yourselves from a $500 million allocation. Vaughn's face drains of color. The applause dies midair, and every camera turns toward the wreckage. Portia stammers. You can't, and I interrupt softly. I didn't do anything. You did. You signed the truth. Then I hand the mic to the host and walk off stage while their empire starts to unravel in real time. The noise from the ballroom fades behind me as I step into the glass conference room. The air inside colder. Sharper. Vaughn Marston storms in first. Face red. Veins bulging at his temple. You think you can humiliate me in front of every investor in Chicago, he spits, slamming the door. Portia Marston follows close behind, phone clutched like a weapon, whispering furiously. Damage control starts, now press. Sponsors. Donors, I'll fix this. Graham Lockridge lingers in the doorway, eyes darting like a man searching for an exit. I turn, unhurried. Fix it. You can't fix what you documented. Vaughn points a trembling finger. You forged something. You tricked us. I slide my tablet across the table, the screen glowing with timestamps and signatures. Every notary seal. Every witnessed signature is valid. You wanted a legal trap. You built it yourselves. Portia raises her phone. I'll release a statement. Say you manipulated Dad while he was under medication. I step closer until she can see her reflection in my eyes. Do that. And I release these. One tap, and photos fill the screen. Portia and Graham in the elevator of the Langley Hotel. Time-stamped. Geotagged. Verified. Graham goes pale. Taryn, that's not necessary. He stammers. But Portia rounds on him. You promised no one knew, he whispers. She always knows. Vaughn grabs the phone. Desperate. Delete that or I'll… What? I cut him off. Sue me. You'd have to open Discovery. And I'd love to see you explain the $22 million transferred through Marston Hospitality's fake consulting fund. The words land like bullets. He sinks into a chair. Silent. Portia trembles, muttering, You'll ruin us. I answer, You already did. I'm just making it official. Graham tries again. Softer. We can make a deal. Cut me in. I'll disappear. I look at him and say, Disappear anyway. His jaw tightens, but he knows he's finished. I send one last email, the audit file to the Marston board. Blind copies to the compliance officers who will make it public within the hour. Vaughn buries his face in his hands. Portia stands frozen. Her phone buzzing non-stop with messages she'll never be able to control. I pick up my folder and walk to the door. I told you, I say quietly. I don't play with words. I win with them. 3 days later, the city feels cleaner without their noise. Vaughn Marston's suspension hits the news' first misappropriation of client funds. The article calls it, and the hotel board announces a full internal audit. His photo looks smaller than I remember. That perfect courtroom confidence replaced with something hollow. Portia Marston's charity sponsors withdraw next, citing ethical concerns, while her own live stream from the gala, still online, has become viral proof of hypocrisy with over 1 million views and a comment section that reads like a public execution. I scroll past the headlines without slowing. Graham Lockridge loses his broker's license within 48 hours. The Real Estate Commission doesn't take kindly to falsified appraisals or conflict of interest sales. I receive an email from a client thanking Clause Pilot for setting a new precedent for contract integrity, and I laugh quietly at the irony. Kira Solis texts a single line. Asterisk. It's done. Asterisk. Damon Cross forwards the confirmation that all their accounts are frozen pending investigation. I reply with one word. Asterisk. Good. That evening, I drive to Juniper House. The air smells like rain and cut grass, and the silence feels earned. I unlock the door, step inside, and place a fresh envelope on the mantel, a deed officially transferred to the Ruth Foundation, the nonprofit now owning the estate. The proceeds will fund scholarships for women who've been financially trapped by family debts. You built something solid, Grandma, I whisper. I just made sure it stayed that way. When I walk back outside, the sky is turning violet, the porch light glowing against the old oak she planted. My phone buzzes once more. A message from Vaughn's attorney begging for negotiation. I delete it without reading. Some debts don't get restructured. I look at the house one last time and say quietly, I didn't destroy my family. I just stopped financing the lie. Then I close the gate and never look back. Thank you for watching till the end. If this story moved you, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who still believes kindness can't be broken. And tell me where you're watching from. Your voice keeps our stories alive.